Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Michael Badaway Live. Glad that you're joining us on this, your Wednesday evening, April 22nd, 2020. Who would have ever thought that your government here in Canada would be paying you $2,000 a month to stay home for the entire month of 420 and do nothing but go to the liquor store and purchase other such products? What a month it's been. You know, it's interesting when you think of perspective, when you want to put a spin on something, whether it's negative or positive. If you've been home for the last month, if you've been receiving the benefit from the government, maybe life hasn't been all that bad. Maybe you've caught up on some work. Maybe your house is clean. Maybe you start up that workout routine you wanted to do all this time. I don't know. Maybe you started your YouTube channel. Whatever it may be, I'm sure you're doing something. I hope you're doing something. That's the key here, is doing something. So here we are doing something, having this little chat. Let's chat a little bit about what's going on in the world. It's Earth Day today. It's kind of a big deal, actually, considering all things. Mankind's role upon the earth has all but ceased for the moment, giving a much needed reprieve for our planet to breathe, as it were. You ever think of human beings as a macroorganism? So what if the human being is just one being, and we're all just cells of that being? And if there was a multiverse, as it were, this would be it. And the 7.7 billion of us are the infinite representation and reorganization of the human being, good, bad, and ugly. And that's why all things must be experienced, good, bad, and ugly. It's an interesting way of looking at the world. But hey, I'm just about as likely to be right as the next guy. It's also Jelly Bean Day, in addition to Earth Day. That's almost as exciting to me as Earth Day, actually. I like the Jelly Belly original jelly beans. You know, the ones, the good ones. Nevertheless, I'm kind of a guy who likes candy. I don't know what it is. Sugar and me are like peas and carrots. We go well together. I could just sit and eat sugar all day. A spoonful of sugar helps the sugar go down. Seriously, though, it's kind of cool that it's Earth Day and that the Earth has finally stopped. Maybe the powers that be, and this is like way out there, I don't think this is the case, but wouldn't it be interesting if the virus had finished or anything? And I know it's not, and then they just decided not to tell us because all of a sudden we weren't polluting and the Earth was slowly healing itself. Wouldn't that be neat? Wishful thinking, right? Greed will have its day again, I'm sure. Hopefully not too soon. I'm not in a rush for that part. All the smog clearing up around the globe is tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous. It's wonderful. There's going to be a new Hunger Games movie, apparently, proving, of course, that Hollywood has absolutely no ideas for anything. Because, I mean, what is there, like 12 of those movies, and they all stink? Maybe it's a different show. But Tom Brady has been singled out. Apparently, he was caught and kicked out of a park in Florida where he was caught. Get this, he was by himself, exercising. The nerve of this man being by himself. Apparently, Bon Jovi teaming up with the Boss, otherwise known as Bruce Springsteen. They're going to do a COVID benefit concert on television. I'm really glad I canceled my cable now because, yeah. Seriously, though, we're all going through COVID-19 together. It is real in terms of people are dying. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories as to who started it, or whether the earth is just, blowing its nose and away we go. Either which way, it's here. Don't spray your food with Lysol, okay? I know you don't want to get the virus, but some things you don't do. Don't spray your food with Lysol. That's serious. In Australia, in case you're wondering, Australia, who has the lowest rate of death in the entire world from COVID-19, Australia has banned. Now, let me see if I can get the wording right here, because I don't want to mess this up. Australia has banned bare bottom fartings. You are not allowed in Australia. I'll let that one simmer. You can turn it over. How could I make that up? How could I make that up? You're not allowed to do that in Australia any longer. So there you have it. Speaking of the virus, let's just call it the virus now. It sounds a lot cooler than COVID-19. COVID-19 sounds just dumb. The virus. Let's get some world numbers. So when we look at the world as a whole, 2.6 million of the 7.7 billion of us have been infected. It's actually 2,637,911. And I say 9/11 because 9/11, right? It's almost like a game changer. Is this a game changer? That's what people are asking. Is this another 9/11? Is this a game-changing event? And what I mean by that is the world was a lot more relaxed before 9/11. And then, of course, part of our freedoms were sacrificed for security, and rightly so in a way, but it sucks because then you've given up part of what you're fighting for. So your enemy has succeeded in some way. So here we are in another impasse where the prime minister has said, this may be the new normal, and people are calling out Tom Brady, and he's getting in trouble for running through a park. And yeah, that's the world we live in. So I don't know. Do you think it's going to be another game changer? Do you think it's a 9/11 style event? Do you think this is it for the way life was as we know it? None of my friends want to hang out. Not that I really want to hang out with them. Having said that, are we just going to be hermits for the rest of our lives? Self-imposed isolation? That's fun. Do not spray your food with Lysol, okay? I'm serious. 184,000 people have died in the world of those 2.6 million. Number one country for COVID-19 in terms of numbers, you got 850,000 infected in the United States, followed closely, not closely, followed by Spain and Italy, who are closely tied around 200,000 each. About 50,000 people have died in the States. The UK is 6th, Canada's 13th. We always seem to be lucky number 13th on this list. Canada's got 40,000 people infected. 1,974 of us have passed away. Australia, number 40. Lessons can be learned from Australia. They've only had 75 deaths of their 6,660 infected, In the center of the universe, center of the earth, Egypt, number 48 in terms of number of infected upon the earth. 3,659 people infected in Egypt. Of those people, 276 have passed away. Egypt, right on the world average there in terms of death rate, about 7%. Canada hovering around 5%. Australia, you're doing the best, 1%. As I said, the world could learn a thing or two from Australia. Here in my home province of Ontario, we have 12,245 people infected with COVID-19. 12 freaking thousand. That's more than Egypt and Australia combined by a lot. 659 deaths. Again, more than those two countries combined. Remember, we said that 1,000 deaths by the end of the month brings us to the worst case scenario trajectory. We're at almost 700 deaths, and we've got a week to go. We're kind of on course. I don't want to say it, but we might be on course for the worst case scenario, in which tens of thousands of people die in Ontario by this time next year, according to other sources that we know and trust in the news media, or so we think. So there you have it, though. 659 people have died thus far in Ontario. Hopefully that doesn't mean we're on that worst case trajectory. We'll see if we hit the 1,000 by the end of the month. I'm certainly hoping not. But again, it could well be. And if that's the case, we'll have to proceed from there. So I've been trying to keep busy. I've been having some difficulties. I got into a big car accident in November. I hit a deer and spun out and barrel rolled into the ditch, landing on my head on the roof of the car. It was... All I could say is I'm very lucky to have walked out away from the crash, and it could have been way worse. Nonetheless, it's a little bit rattling still, so I'm still trying to deal with that a bit and get things together in my life. And it's kind of interesting, this reprieve we've been given in terms of, as I said, time. We're going to talk a lot about all kinds of different varying topics here. A lot of people have been asking for various things, from keeping your sanity and mental health topics during this time. How do you keep your mental health and wits about you during a time of solitude and crisis? So we're going to talk about that in the coming weeks. We're going to talk a little bit about bettering yourself. Again, it's related to that. And how you can do that. I'm a person who once was nearly 300 pounds, and I lost, 75 some odd pounds over the course of about a year. And I did it in a very different sort of way. I did it in a lazy man sort of way. I don't really diet. I can't diet. So I'll teach you what I did the easy way. So let's share. Let's talk. Let's reminisce. Let's share stories. Let's have a great time. And again, any ideas, throw them out there. We can discuss. Remember to click subscribe. Trying to get to that 1,000 followers. Got 41 or so right now. Nevertheless, slow and steady wins the race. Until next time, I'm Michael Badaway. Take care of yourself. Be well.